My name is Jamshed Bharucha, and I've spoken and met some of you already, some of the applicants, some of the parents. I'm joined, I'm the founding Vice Chancellor. I'm also a professor of cognitive neuroscience. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, then I'll introduce my colleague, Professor Swaminathan. I grew up in Bombay a long time ago, and because there was no Sai University available at that time, where I could combine subjects, combine the science and arts and humanities, I went abroad. But we are changing that in India. Um, I was interested in science. That was my first love. But I've wanted to also taste the other subjects. We are now joined, uh, Ramani. I was just starting.
Yes. Good
Could
afternoon,
you?
everybody.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Hi, my name is KV Ramani. I'm the founder and chancellor of Sai University. It's a pleasure meeting with all of you. I'm glad to be here. Over to you, Jamshed.
Yes. Uh, I was introducing myself, and but I will switch gears and introduce Mr. Ramani, and then I'll come back to a little bit about my own background because it's relevant to uh, uh, communicating to applicants and parents the tremendous commitment and the power that we have behind Sai University. So let me go back and introduce our founder. So Mr. Ramani built a software empire in Chennai, uh, several companies. One of them was called Future Software. Uh, he was one of the uh, entrepreneurs in the 1990s who really took India from zero in terms of computing to being the software exporting nation of the world. Uh, as you know, most of the software is developed in India and exported because India has the brains, the talent, the many cultural aspects that are well suited to that industry, and of course the prices, the costs are lower than abroad. So Mr. Ramani built those businesses, has sold those businesses, and has devoted his life now to philanthropy, which means charity, which means using his wealth to do good for society. Uh, we cannot uh, adequately emphasize what kind of a character of a human being uh, Mr. Ramani is, because he has committed himself to giving away a vast majority of the wealth that he created by selling his companies. He has a number of charitable interests that he's had for a long time, but the most important one now is the university, Sai University, to build a truly globally eminent university right here in India, in Chennai. Now, every Indian university is saying global, international. You drive down the highway and you'll see signs about global this and international that. But we bring to the table real international, real global power, as I'll talk about in a minute. So, Mr. Ramani has assembled a star-studded group of business leaders and thought leaders. If you go onto the website and you look at the governing board, you will see, for example, Mr. Narayana Murthy, who's the co-founder of Infosys, who, together with Ramani in the 1990s, really started the Indian software industry and built it to where it is. Mr. Ramani also started NASSCOM, which is the National Association of Software Companies, that brought together these industry leaders to create an association to coordinate India's efforts to advise the government to set industry standards. And so many of those are on our governing board and are advising us. They're advising us not only on from the perspective of business leaders who are the ones who employ most graduates in India, but also from an academic perspective, because what they're telling us is that most of the graduates India has been hiring are not work ready. They aren't able to think outside the box. They've mugged up and they've done their exams and they know their textbook knowledge well, but when you join a company or when you try to start a company or when you go to on to top postgraduate programs in the world, they're expecting you to do more than that. They're expecting you to have the confidence to think about new problems that you've never confronted before, interdisciplinary problems, because real world problems don't come in neat packages of physics, history, English, and so on. They're looking for graduates who can integrate evidence, who can think reasonably, who can analyze, who can be creative, who can frame things in new ways, and who can then communicate clearly. That's our unique proposition for Sai University. We have several others. So I joined Mr. Ramani about 15 months ago in this magnificent project to build the academic side of the institution. And I've brought to the table a powerhouse of thought leaders and academic leaders from around the world. So if you, again, go onto the website and you look at the International Advisory Board, we have top people from Stanford, from Harvard, from all kinds of institutions, and that list will only expand. Now, they are not just names and faces. Every single one of them has committed, in most cases voluntarily, to Sai University's development, and they'll be available to advise students, to mentor students. They'll drop in and out of your classes. They'll get to know you by name. So they will provide a truly global network of contacts whereby Sai students can start to interact with fellow students abroad, with faculty abroad, get to know what the big issues are, where the world is going. So after decades in the US, I made the commitment to return to India because this is India's time. This, after centuries of oppressive colonial rule and all kinds of, and 75 years of very stifling regulation about universities in India that was inherited from the British. India is finally breaking out of those shackles and opening up the education sector, which it should, because we have the largest youth population in the world. We are producing the brains of the world. Knowledge is now freely available. It's now time to make India the education center of the world. And eventually, I think if we do it right, we will be a destination rather than a place that sends our talent to other places. And that's why I have returned. I'd like to introduce Professor Shailendra Swaminathan. He has joined us as Dean of the Social Sciences, uh, and he's a professor of economics. He also has returned from the US after uh, serving on the faculty there at Brown University and other institutions, and is really completely aligned with our vision to make Sai University a unique, great institution. Now, I realize for some of you there are questions. This is a new university. Okay, how can we be sure that this is going to happen and that's going to happen? And we understand that um, it's in some sense like the difference between launching a startup company or looking for a job at an established company. Well, I mean, if you were in Google from the beginning, you'd be in an extraordinary place today. Uh, but it's a risk, and so that's why Mr. Ramani and I and Professor Swaminathan are here to take your questions and try to address any concerns you may have, try to help with your planning, and really get to know you and have you get to know us. So, uh, Mr. Ramani, yes, please.
Jamshed, can I take a few minutes before?
Please do, of course.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and it's my pleasure and a privilege to meet many of you on this conversation. I do hope that very soon we'll all be able to meet in a face-to-face meeting, thanks to the progress we're making in the vaccination and the slowing down of the pandemic. I hope that all of you and your families are safe and you continue to be safe so that normal life returns as soon as possible. Before we go on in the conversation, I think it's my pleasure and in fact it's my responsibility to talk to each one of you about Sai University. Well, the first and foremost thing that I would like to say is that Sai University is designed to be a global university. The vision of Sai University is that Sai University will be a globally eminent university. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to explain that concept. Why are we different from the others? So just taking on from those kind words expressed by my colleague, Professor Purusha, is the point that I don't know how many of you know that India currently has over 700 universities. I'm not talking about colleges, I'm talking about universities of various kinds, central university, state university, deemed university, and private university, and all kinds of colors and all kinds of hues. But out of these 750 nearly universities, you know that not even one university is in the top 100 universities of the world. Not even one. Why is that? Even after 75 years of independence, we don't have a claim to fame to say, this university is the best in the world, or among the top 50 in the world, top 25 in the world. Why haven't we achieved it? If you look back at the Indian history about 4,000 years ago, we were the source of knowledge for the entire civilization, of the entire human race, or one of the sources of the entire civilization. We are 4,000 years ago in Nalanda and Harappa, and of course, Keladi in Tamil Nadu has been found recently, and locations in Gujarat, which is under discovery. We are unearthing civilizations which are several thousand years old. We have history to prove that scholars from around the world have come to India to acquire knowledge and go back and take it to their own countries. What happened to all that knowledge? Where is all that learning? How did we lose all of that? They got buried under the sand, maybe washed away by the ocean, swallowed by an earthquake, or damaged by fire and nuclear explosion. We don't know what happened. We lost that part of our history. But what we know is out of the 750 universities that India has today, not even one has come up in the top 25 or 50 or 100 universities in the globe. Our institutes of eminence, like the IITs, are coming at 125 to 150 range. After all of these 75 years, why are we not breaking the glass ceiling? So this was the primary motive. Why are our students going abroad? Let me ask a question. Why aren't the foreign students coming here to learn? Earlier, our students used to study undergraduate in India and do PG abroad. Now, increasingly, students from India are going for undergraduate education abroad. So what does it tell us? It tells us that we're not providing a quality of education of comparable standards or global standards in India. Whatever else the people may call themselves, we have a huge weakness in our education system. And this is exactly what we want to fill in this gap. To say that Sai University will be a globally eminent university and will reach the top hundreds, top 50s, and top 25s as we go along. And it will be an international university from India in the years to come. This is the vision for Sai University. In order to make that happen, apart from the normal routine, getting the government approvals and approvals from the state government, approved from UGC, and all of these paperwork that happens that we have been doing, and we've done it over the last 2.5 years and got all of the approvals. We got 105 acres of land. We put up one building. We're putting up more building. We're putting up 25 lakhs of square feet. We're going to have a residential campus in the next 7 years, which will require a mini city. All of these we're doing, but that physical infrastructure alone does not make a university happen. And we've analyzed and found the root cause of what it takes to build a global university. The first and foremost is top-notch faculty from everywhere. So we've got Professor Barucha from US, who's got his PhD from Harvard. He's been underplaying himself and introducing. Let me introduce you. He has worked with 3 Ivy League schools in the US, Dartmouth, Tufts, and Harvard, in various capacities as a student, as an administrator, as a professor, as faculty, as a president, and so on. And so we have eminent Professor Barucha as a Vice-Chancellor. We have all the others like Professor Shailendra Swaminathan, Professor Anand, and several of the other professors who have all either studied abroad or worked abroad, and we bring them here as top-notch faculty to stay with our students and give them their learning. Apart from that, Professor Parucha has put in an international advisory board. If you see it, it has faculty of eminence from around the world. We have, John Mitchell from Stanford, who's going to teach computer science, was not even teaching computer science undergrad students in Stanford, but he's going to teach undergraduate students computer science here. Professor Sherman of International Studies in Kennedy School, he's going to talk international relations to our UG students, which he usually doesn't do. He used to be the advisor to presidents of US government on their international relations. We have Gisela Peretti. I mean, I can go on reading names. You can read them better in our website. But the key is that if you have such an eminent list of faculty from India abroad, that's going to be the point of learning for our students. The second part is the curriculum. The curriculum of international standards, which provides the modern syllabus that goes on around the world university. This has been designed by Professor Barucha personally in consultation with other academicians. He has been consulting professors in India and abroad designing this curriculum. And that curriculum is a second key factor. And the third factor is the students who are going to be not only the first batch, but the founding few batches who are going to be our ambassadors to go around the world in corporate world or in academics or research or entrepreneurs, who will be the brand ambassadors of Sai University who will prove that Sai University is about the best university in the world. And lastly, to support all this, we're going to create a campus which is comparable to any campus around the world in 105 acres of land, about 25 lakhs of square feet of construction over the next 7 years. So all of these are going to be taking time. It's not easy to build a university in a day, but we do have very simple incremental plans to offer courses and complete this vision in 7 years. And we'll be ramping up slowly as we build up each school. We'll be having almost like, when we finish, about 12 schools. The last point I want to make is that Sai University is all about multidisciplinary learning and interdisciplinary learning. That you could be doing a UG in one school, you could take minor in one school, you do minor, second minor in another school. So you could be actually studying in 3 schools when you're doing your UG program or your PG program, or you're doing your research. So this interdisciplinary learning is the essence of universal education. It is not the packaged education that India is offering. You take one subject A, you get subject B and C as a free package. You don't have a choice. But Sai University is all about you're choosing your majors and your minors, and it's all about active learning of the courses. It's all about faculty and student interaction, and the residential campus is designed in such a way that you don't only learn in the classroom, but you also learn with your peer groups when you interact with them outside the class. You interact with the faculty in your dining hall. You'll be interacting with visiting faculty and guest lecturers before and after dinner. You'll be interacting with foreign faculty and online courses. So there's so much going to happen that we designed this as a residential university. And thanks to unfortunate events of the COVID, we could not get the campus ready in time. Therefore, the first year we'll be offering the city campus, Navalur, and next year, July, August timeframe, we'll all be in residence in the main campus in Payyanur, which is about 15, 20 kilometers from our current location. So all of this is one part of the building to say that this is one part of the structure, which is the internationalization of Sai University in terms of faculty, into the curriculum, the content, the interdisciplinary, the active learning, the international faculty, our own infrastructure, our own faculty, all of it go together with the active learning systems to make a truly global university happen as it happens elsewhere in the world. And Professor Barucha has 40 years of experience in that, and we're going to gain from that and from other leading professors who have 20 plus years of experience in similar universities abroad and in India. In order to make this happen, we also needed to have a governing board, which is equally eminent and that can give the direction and advisory to the university to make sure we are on the right track, because it's not been done before in India. Therefore, I personally put together a governing board, and I'm going to take a minute to explain that the governing board is not put together because they're famous names in India, but each member of the governing board has been put together for a specific purpose for their contribution to Sai University. All of you know Mr. Narayanamurthy as a great entrepreneur in IT, but he is not in Sai University for that reason. He is in Sai University because he has been on the governing board of 5 Ivy League universities in the world. He has been on the board of Stanford, Caltech, and I believe one of the other universities, I think is MIT or Harvard it is. He has been on the board of ECOL in Paris. He is still on the board of Tokyo University. So we wanted to get the international governing experience of Narayanamurthy to advise us on how to govern an international university in India. I take the example of Ashank Desai. He is on the governing council of IIT Mumbai and IIM Ahmedabad. So we wanted to get the Ivy Leagues of India experience through them. Then we want to get the practical experience of implementing in a university in India from Manipal Group, Mr. Mohandas Pai, who was running 5 universities, 3 in India and 2 abroad. So we have the experience of running university in India and experience in running a university abroad from him, and international students coming in as well. Then we have the Professor Kasturi Rangan, who is in Sai University on 2 reasons. One as a scientist, head of ISRO, and also the author of the new education policy. We want to take his advice in building a new education policy at the core of Sai University. And then Professor Anil Kakotkar, former chairman of Atomic Energy Commission, as a great scientist. to provide scientific vision to Sai University. Then we have Pramasina, founder of ISB Hyderabad, as you know, the management school to provide us guidance, as well as Savita Mahajan, who was the deputy dean of ISB and was the founder of ISB Mohali, to provide the management school experience of India's best management school expertise to us. Then we have Sunita Reddy, managing director of Apollo, who's going to be advising us on providing healthcare studies in Sai University and also how India is gained by globalization, to say that even foreigners are coming to India for healthcare, the same way that Sai University be attracting foreign students to India to sometime soon. We have Mr. Sriram Panchu, who is an eminent lawyer and an arbitrator of international stature, to advise the law school. And of course, forgot to mention former Chief Justice of India, Sri Venkatachalaya, who's also guiding and advising in the law school to see what is going to be the frontier of education in building a very famous law school in Sai University. And we have other board members of eminence that, like Ram was taking chair of regulatory practices, Ms. Bhaskar was bringing in business practices, Ms. Bharti Gupta Ramola was bringing in a consultancy expertise of consultant practice to the Sai University. So if you can see, each one of these people have been selected by me, not just because they're big names in India, not because 5 of them are Padma Bhushans and one is a Padma Shri. Incidentally, that's true. 5 are Padma Bhushan, one is a Padma Shri. But that's another reason why they are here. They're not here because of their individual capacity, but they're here on the basis of what value they can bring to Sai University, build a world-class university in Chennai. And therefore, I want to say that Sai University, as being a globally eminent university, is not plain words. It's not just a vision. It is actually being implemented in the faculty, it's being implemented in the management, it's being implemented in the curriculum and syllabus, it's being implemented in international faculty in participation, is implemented in Indian faculty, is implemented in infrastructure. All of it together is going to make a great university. All that we want is students of great intelligence, hard work, commitment, and to make it happen so that the student community also knows Sai University and the ambassadors, they are ambassadors of Sai University to the rest of the world in their career to build a great university from India. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And that is what I wanted to communicate as reason being for Sai University coming up in the first place. Therefore, we are not going to be one of 750 universities. We're going to be one of several thousand universities around the world, and we want to be in the top 100 soon. We are in a hurry. We want to make it sure in the next few years, and we want to be in the not next 50. We want to be in the top 25, and that's the direction we want to get. And if you have any further questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you, Jamshed. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramani. As you can see, the commitment and passion that our founder has put into this enterprise. This is going to be a student-centered university. Each student will have received personal attention. You won't be anonymous. If you're looking for a place where you can hide, sit in the back of the class and maybe hope that the professor doesn't notice you, bunk classes and hope that you're not noticed, then we're not the university for you. We are a place where you're going to be engaged and you're going to really thrive if this is the kind of experience you want. So let me open it to questions. I will take questions about the academics, and I may pass on a few of them to my colleague, Professor Swaminathan. Questions about the campus and other aspects, the non-academic aspects, our founder will take. So if you want to, you can raise your hand electronically, or you can pose a question in chat, or it looks like, yes, Ramani had a hand raised. Yes.
I'd like you to introduce also Shalini, our architect, who was in this meeting on the campus-related matters. Shalini, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Thank you. Yes, Shalini, thank you so much. Shalini, uh, it represents the architectural firm, Sundaram Architects. Very, very accomplished, very a tremendous amount of experience in building campuses. And we are really delighted that she has agreed to join us. If you have questions about the campus design, she it's really she'll be able to give you that vision and the sense of how she has conceptualized the campus that will begin a year from now. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions yet. If somebody, we are a place that where we want you to go for it. So if somebody wants to just unmute and go for it, do that. Yes. Navya Davaluri, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Founder, Vice Chancellor, and Professor, and everybody in the meeting, thank you for your time. And I really like the idea about the interdisciplinary courses and the diversity in the education that a Sai University is providing. So my question is around faculty. As I see, most of them are visiting faculties. So I just wanted to know the relationship between the professors and the student. Like, is it always going to be online because everybody is visiting faculty, as I see, or is it going to be face to face? Can you just explain me the relation between
Absolutely. Thank
faculty
you.
and students? Yes, sir.
Great question to lead off. So when you start a university, you don't hire the full faculty all at once because then they'll be lying idle, right? When you hire a professor, whether it's assistant professor, associate professor, or professor full time, they typically will teach 2 courses each semester. But when we're just starting, we're only offering the first year courses. So when you roll out a new university, you only hire the faculty for that year. And then with each year, as we see how student interests develop, we'll hire the faculty that cover the courses for the next year. The, uh, the advantage of having the visiting faculty is that they can assist in the transition, number one. Number two, they actually will all be teaching some modules. Now, when the pandemic is behind us, most of them have agreed to visit in person. They can visit for either an entire semester or for 2 weeks, or but the original conception, which we will get back to after the pandemic, is that the visiting faculty will truly visit uh, while they're only able to interact virtually. They'll interact with you virtually. But one thing I can assure you is they're going to give you the kind of person to person contact that you may not even get from face to face faculty at many Indian universities, where you're just a name and a number and maybe a face. When you interact with them online, they will call you by their name. They will be available to take questions. They will be responsive to your emails. They will be ready to give you advice. If you have questions, can I get involved in a research program? Are there any international projects I can get involved with? So the pandemic, of course, is beyond our control. That's why the first semester will be fully online. The second semester, assuming the conditions permit, we hope to be in residence. We have all the classrooms and everything set up in our city location, and we will provide residences, and we will take the students to the main campus so they can start to enjoy the ambiance and learn about the campus that's being built. And we are also going to be listening to you, our students in the first batch. You will be not just students, you will also be part of the development process in how we move forward. The trend in the world is hybrid. I know it's controversial, but I can assure you that now that people were forced to go online and they've learned the good, the bad, the ugly of being online, after the pandemic, you're going to see, of course, a return to residential, which is unmatched. But you will also see a continued use of online technologies where they provide the extra power. I'll give you an example. I taught a course at Dartmouth College, which is an Ivy League university, in the spring semester of 2000. And it was online. And students had gone home because of the pandemic, so they were joining from all over the world. What I found was that uh, if I brought in distinguished visitors and distinguished guests unannounced, it was really magical for the students. So I'll give you an example. I was teaching about the left brain and the right brain. You all know about that. And the left brain is where language is, the right brain is spatial location, things like that. And they read about who discovered all of that. His name is Michael Gazzaniga. He was the person who discovered the differences between the left brain and right brain in humans. And so in the middle of the class, I said, okay, would you like us to see if Mike Gazzaniga can join us? And the students were like, okay. So I picked up the phone and called him. Of course, I had set it up and said, Mike, would you like to pop in on our students? And he said, sure. And he jumped in. And the students were just dazzled, because it's one thing to read about something in a textbook or to listen to your professor saying this was discovered, that was invented. It's another thing to bring the discoverer or the inventor right into the classroom. Now, at Sai, I expect this will be a fairly common phenomenon. You can't get somebody to get on an airplane and come over the other side of the globe just for one class, okay? But you can get them to drop in. So I will say it's going to be a mix, but it is a residential experience, and it will be a very intimate, personalized residential experience. I will get to know all of you will get to know me. Certainly, you can see from Mr. Ramani that he is very interested in getting to know students individually, as is Professor Swaminathan, as are other faculty, some of whom are on this, and some of the visiting. Let me just give you one more example. On our International Advisory Board, you will see Geraldine Laybourne. She was former president of Nickelodeon and is the founder of a number of media companies, Oxygen Media, which was the first television channel designed for women, by women. She was also at Disney. She has agreed to join, and I can tell you, if any of you, while you're a student, want some mentorship from somebody, a woman who has smashed the glass ceiling in the media industry and reached the top, she is a great mentor. That's the kind of thing. But of course, she's not going to get on an airplane and come every time a student has a question. So it's going to be a mix. Let me move on to
Jamshed, before you,
Mr. Ramani. Yeah.
Jamshed, I think you might want to talk about the tutor program.
Yes. Thank you. We're also bringing to India a unique tutorial program. So Oxford and Cambridge, for centuries have had a legendary tutorial program where by the undergraduates they attend the lectures, but they don't really get to know the professors. So there's a tutor who meets with each student personally or in small groups each week to go over the material. The tutorial is not one in which the tutor teaches and the student listens, but it's one in which the student speaks, gives a presentation, and the tutor provides feedback. That's what's called active learning. At Harvard and Yale, there's a different tutorial model, and I was a tutor when I was at Harvard, whereby the tutors bring intellectual life of the institution into the dorms or the hostels, so that in the evenings, there are discussions, debates, there could be speakers, and create a much more vibrant, continuous interdisciplinary life. We've come up with a combination of the Oxford-Cambridge tutorial model and the Harvard-Yale tutorial model that we are going to experiment with at Sai University. And for that, we are delighted that we'll be joined by Mr. Cody Valdez, who is in Vancouver. He is waiting to get his Indian visa to come. He should be arriving any week now. He will oversee the tutorial system and work with all of the students and all of the faculty to make sure that we get the best of the Oxford, Cambridge, and the Harvard, Yale models. Great. So Venkatesh has a question. How many students are we planning to have in the first batch in the School of Arts and Sciences? Because the first semester will be online, it's very important for us that all of the students fit on a screen so that we can truly interact. Because I know you're all zoomed out from online courses. We want to create a situation where every student is present online with the video turned on, where the professor is asking questions. I would pose a question. For that reason, we're keeping the small batch small and very selective. So we are looking at 30 in the small batch. It would combine arts and sciences and computing and data sciences because we want the first year experience to be a highly integrated experience. Even as the computing and data science students start taking their computer science and data science courses, and the arts and sciences students start to get exposed to subjects that they're interested in, there will be an integrated experience, because when you go out into the working world, there's no distinction. Everything is integrated. I will move now to a virtual hand. Rishita Mathur. Hello. You're on mute, sir.
Good
Must
evening.
be Rishita's dad.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm Vishita's father. It's
Okay.
a great honor to talk to you, Professor Barucha and Mr. Ramani. When I go through all your academic profile, it's really a great honor I'm speaking to you. But sir, as a father, as a parent, you understand that when we are sending our child to a university, we look into a lot of aspects of it. Definitely, Sai, when we go through the site, when I hear you and, I've spoken to your director admission, Mr. Sarkar. So it gives us a lot of confidence. But still, there are some questions which I would like to ask. Like first and foremost, the infrastructure part you have already clarified. It depends upon the government directive. Most likely by next year, you plan to bring the students to the campus. But my question regarding computer science, because my Rishita, she's planning to go ahead in the computer science. when I go through the site, I don't see the much, exposure of the faculty on the computer science side. There are a couple of professors which I see, some, visiting faculties there, but the whole focus seems to be on the law side. There are a lot of professors for the law as a subject. So that was my first concern. I just wanted to check out on. Second was the infrastructure part, because to be honest, I had applied as a parent to a lot of other universities also. And when I spoke to them, they spoke a lot about the infrastructure which is required for a computer science student. But in our case, when I went to the site, I could not find much about it, though the curriculum and all is well defined. But I guess a computer science student needs a lot of infrastructure, computers, softwares, and other things, which I was not able to get through on that. So these two were my first major questions. And if I'm allowed, I can just put one last more question. It is regarding the internships, because I think in computer science, when you're doing your BTech in it, a lot of internships, a lot of practical knowledge is required. So what would be your thoughts on it? What would be your planning on it? And all these questions are coming from a parent, not from a student. Rishita is quite excited, but yes, as a father, I have,
Okay.
being in Delhi, sending my child across to Chennai. There are a lot of universities and colleges around Delhi, also in the north part of the country. So you tend to, you want to be doubly sure on a lot of aspects that yes, it is good for the child.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I will take the first question, and then I will ask Mr. Ramani to take the second and the third questions, the second being infrastructure and the third being internships. So I will take the first question about computer science and faculty. The reason why you see a lot of law faculty is because we started 1 year back with a postgraduate law program. So starting in 2020, we had a batch of postgraduate students doing the Daksha Fellowship, which was a unique fellowship in law and technology and policy. That's why. Because in India, it takes a while to get all of the government regulations. And so we did what, in fact, other Indian new universities have done, started off with a non-degree postgraduate fellowship as a way to get going. That's why you see more law faculty. After a year or two, you will see the distribution of faculty representing the interests of the students. So the law school had 1 year earlier start. That's why. On computer science, if you look at the faculty list, you will see a distinguished professor, Kriti Ramamritam. Okay, I can tell you, being an academic, it's not just counting the number of professors. It's looking at who they are and what they bring to the table. Professor Ramamritam, if you go to Google Scholar, I would urge you as students or parents, if you want to assess the impact that a faculty member has made, particularly in the sciences or in technology. It's not as applicable in the arts and humanities and social sciences, but in science and technology, the gold standard is impact. You go to Google Scholar and you type in the name of a professor, and it'll ask you to verify, is this the one who's at this university? Once you get there, they will have an H index on the right. They will say total citations, H index. You will see that Professor Kriti Ramamritam's H index and his total citations are in the stratosphere. If you can take any other random set of Indian faculty and see. So he has had a phenomenal impact. He spent about half his career at University of Massachusetts in the United States, and then he moved back to India, where he's been at IIT Bombay, and he has now moved to join us. Now, not only has he had a phenomenal impact on the field of computer science, but he is a very personable professor. And he is very project oriented. We want to bring a project orientation to our teaching. It's not unique. Most of the institutions are trying to do that, to bring more projects rather than just lectures and exams. And even the new the National Education Policy is asking for more projects. Professor Kriti is very project oriented and will involve undergraduates in projects they will never get anywhere. Let me give you an example. He is a pioneer in thinking about smart cities and smart buildings, and in our case also smart campus. Okay, where you've all heard, I'm sure, of the Internet of Things. Uh, you you can place sensors in the environment, in buildings, in different parts of the campus, in different parts of the city, and get huge, big, ultra big data sets to analyze energy usage, water utilization, the flow of traffic, the flow of people, the quality of the environment, um, all kinds of things, the quality of the air. Uh, he is going to involve our undergraduate students in projects using the campus as a laboratory. Okay, so instead of just sitting in a classroom and learning about the Internet of Things and data science and how you can take large data sets and visualize them, he's going to have students in small groups working on various things, uh, putting sensors in various places on campus. We've talked to our architect about that. It's going to be a highly sustainable campus. So that's one thing. Another person you look at, you'll see, is Professor Saraswati. She brings a unique robotics teaching model to Sai University, also from IIT Bombay. It's called e-Yatra. So you could look up e-Yatra, and we've already purchased the robots, and they'll be set up as soon as we are in residence. These are small, turtle-sized robots that a team of students or pair of students can work with for an entire semester as a way of learning embedded systems. It's embedded system because instead of learning hardware separately, software separately, control systems separately, this separately, that separately, artificial intelligence separately, etc., you do all of that in the context of this. So students will learn how to program the robot to do something like move, maybe recognize an object, pick up an object, move back. This is the most powerful way, actually, to learn not only AI, but software and hardware. And she's bringing e-Yatra to Sai University. The students will get exposure to both of those in the first year. We also have Professor Kasturi Rangan Gopalakrishna, who is in the US right now, is hoping to join us next year. He will, in the first semester, virtually teach the introduction to computer science and data science with a year from now. He will be full-time. We are in the process of hiring other faculty. So, as I said, we ramp up the faculty as we go from year to year, and we have more courses to offer. Myself, even though my field is cognitive neuroscience, I'm highly published in computational neural network models. Basically, the precursor to machine learning is neural networks. And I'll teach a module on how the brain wires itself like a computer. So those are just some of my thoughts. I'll turn over to Mr.
Just before, just
Yeah.
a quick point, I did want to mention also Professor Madhavan Mukund at Chennai Mathematical Institute, who's a professor of
please.
computer science.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
So just to elaborate on that, so Chennai Mathematical Institute, Mr. Mathur is in Chennai. It's a preeminent institute for mathematics, physics, and computer science. I got stellar faculty. I mean, if you look at the faculty, there's a who's who, and we have basically a working relationship with them, where basically their faculty would be available, essentially to teach specific courses to our students, and that's just not a small point. I mean, again, they come with stellar reputations, and the fact that they're just 5-6 kilometers from here. So I think the point to be made here is, while we are standalone as a university, we've got to leverage what's around us, and Chennai has really had the top stars in computer science and physics and mathematics for a while now. So I just wanted to make that point.
I'm glad Professor Swaminathan brought that up, because the latest thinking in higher education is collaboration between institutions, because Chennai Mathematical Institution is very specialized, but more of their students want some of the arts and humanities. And so we are developing a partnership with them, whereby instead of they're trying to build up strength in areas that they don't have strength, we can help them with that. They can help them in the mathematics and the other areas where they have specialization, instead of everybody going it alone. Okay, turning to Mr. Ramani for those second and third questions. You're on mute, Ramani. Ramani, you're on mute.
You're on mute now.
I'm sorry. I said, hi, Mr. Mathur, pleasure meeting you. And in the interest of several other people who are waiting in the chat box, I'm going to be brief, but I will answer each one of your points. Number one, I think one other professor that I think my friends forgot to include is Professor Sadagopan, formerly Director of Indian Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore. He is a founder director of IIIT Bangalore, which is considered the #1 IIIT in India today. He started it and he is retired recently from it in June. He is now joined as an advisory board, Professor Sadagopan, and is also going to be teaching some courses as and when required for the academic curriculum. So that completes the academic side. Now coming quickly to the lab side, I want to ask you a simple question. We are now living in a world of miniaturization. World of large computers and mainframes occupying air-conditioned halls and things like that all over the place, and they're doing small amount of computing. I come from this branch. It's just like my field for nearly 50 years, 40 years, you can say. So those days are dead and gone. Those days the supercomputers are very few, far in between in the world, and they're used for very specific purposes, not for everyday day-to-day computing. Day-to-day computing, I can tell you today, this is an iPhone. And this iPhone is more powerful, as you know, than most mainframes in the world today. Short of dancing, it can do everything else. It has more gadgets, it has a gyroscope inside, it has a thermometer inside, it has a measure the pressure inside. I mean, it is more gadget inside than that device than a mainframe computer ever had in the past or even now. So the simple answer to the lab is yes, we are going to have a lab. We'll have it initially in the city campus. It'll be a small lab because it's all about miniaturization, micro-miniaturization now. And the lab to begin with is going to be a robotics lab, because our computing science year 1 is going to be a robotics lab. And year 2, when you go to the main campus, we'll create a larger campus with a larger amount of computing. But today we do not expect to see a mainframe computer wearing which high cooling capacity, and that kind of a situation is not contemplated. I don't think it's desirable. But we will have all that it takes to learn computing and data science. That's for your information and for the other students. It is not just a computer science program. Please understand that it's a computing and data science course, BTech. Therefore, data science is integrated with computing science. Today, computer science students have only one career, which is IT. Whereas data scientists are in short supply. If you see newspapers 2 days ago, the team leads had put out a notice to say that India is short by 1 lakh data scientists now, today. They have jobs for 1 lakh data scientists now, and that's growing at 60% a year. So if you're going to offer 60 or 100 seats in data science, I can assure you they will have 5 job offers before they even complete the course. So you're going to be talking about computing and data science together, and together, whatever equipment needed, whatever lab is required, like especially robotics and stuff, the students will get their hands on robotics, and they will experiment robotics, they'll experiment on computing science, they will have computational devices, and whatever is needed to make it happen in the current campus we will do, and next year we'll do in the main campus. And lastly, about the main campus, I must tell you that if things had gone without nature interfering with our plans, we should have had the main campus ready by now. Our plan was to get it ready by July, August this year. And we all know that the pandemic happened, and there were a few other unfortunate events happened, and therefore we could not get that ready in shape. But we will have the campus ready by July of next year for building number 1. We are obviously going to have 25 buildings over 7 years. We cannot have all of it ready in 1 year. Whatever building is required for year 1 in the campus is going to be ready, which is going to be for School of Arts and Sciences, it's going to be for School of Computing and Data Sciences, and it's going to be for School of Law. All of it needed is going to be there. And I can ask Shalini, our architect, to give you a brief statement about the proposed campus when it be ready. Shalini?
Yeah. So the campus that's planning to be designed and is evolving during the course is going to be one of the most sustainable campuses that are being developed. It's going to have all of the best practices in terms of design, as well as in terms of space requirements, in terms of quality of space. It's very student-centric oriented campus. It's all about how a student enters, how the student feels, areas being developed, as a collaborative environment. So students not only just mingle amongst themselves and their peers in their department, but also have a focus and ability to mix with students of other departments also. So there's at the end of the tenure that they're there, we're hoping that they not only pick up their subject, but also develop interest in other subjects, because I think at the end of the day, it's that's what's going to make a key difference in the students' approach outside. So we plan to start, the design is well in way, and it's in the final stages of finalization. We will start construction soon, and we hope to completely hand over phase 1 by July end.
And that will be approximately how much square feet, Shalini?
We're looking at close to 1.5 lakh square feet of the building educational campus for just the academics. We have other allied facilities that will be part of this, but the academic block alone would be that much.
We are also planning to build in residences for faculty and students,
Yes.
or Shalini means. So just the academic block will be 1.5 lakh square feet to be ready by July next year. That's what you heard.
As well as sports facilities. Yeah.
Yes, there will be all the other student allied facilities like a food court, housing, sports facilities. So as I said, it's very student centric. So we're hoping to, engage them and all their senses.
So there are a few questions on the chat box. Jamshed, would you want to run by? And I think there's a Jai Wadil
Okay.
raising.
Ramani, one more is on the internships. Could you address internships, please?
Yes, internships is only one thing I can say. I would say, as a parent, I can understand that you need to have more focus on internships and jobs. But from my own experience, all that I can say, please look at the undergraduate level, a learning outcome as the most important part of it. My request to you, sir, is that understand that learning is more important than job for the student point of view. The acquisition of knowledge is more important than the job right now. At the end of 4 years, all that I can tell you is I come from IT industry. And if I were to tell you that is our assurance that every student will have an internship and every student will have an assured placement. But that is coming in year 4. And I don't want to talk about it in year 1. We have talked to other people who are, leaders of industry, And my own industry, I know at least that the top 100 IT companies in the country, if that's what you're looking at, you can getting them to, recruit a batch of 60 students from a university, possibly one company will take all of them. So in my mind, that's not a concern at all. If you have to get a TCS or a Cognizant or somebody like that to come in, a batch of 60 is just what they will hire in 1 hour. So I'm not at all concerned about internships and placement. That's all I want to say. But I think as a father, as a student, you must be concerned with a learning outcome, acquiring knowledge. At this level is very, very critical. In fact, many of the students, I presume, would go for a postgraduate degree after that. Because undergrad is broad learning. Postgraduate is why you specialize. And obviously, there will be plenty of opportunities. So I would be very surprised if you have anybody who's not interned. And I just can give you one example. Taking a Daksha Fellowship, there are 45 students in the first cohort of Daksha. All 45 at the end of semester 2, at the end of trimester 2, they have a trimester plan. All 45 went through placement in top law firms in the country. The top 10 law firms had placement for all of 45 students. And now after their internships are over, they finish in their courses by September end. And it's already at least 1/3 of the class is already placed. They haven't even come to their writing the final exam. So as all I can say is that, you should assume that 4 years is a long time. And even if they go and talk to an institute or a company to come and say, give me some placement assurance, they're going to say, where are the students? Let me show the resume of the student or, the bio of their transcripts. So that is, in my mind, the least of the problem. In my mind, the problem is to get an internship as a batch of 60 students or getting a placement batch of 60 students. It's that easy.
Okay. Thank
That
you.
is it. That's all I can say. But I would request you to consider the learning outcome as being more important, because when you have the knowledge, jobs will chase you. When you don't have the knowledge, you will have to chase the jobs.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
I'd like to call upon Jai Vadula, please.
Yes, sir. Hi, good evening to you all. I'm the parent of Jay. And my question, there are the 2-3 questions where you can say query, in fact, not the question. First question is, I had put in the chat box also. It is related to the programs, whatever the programs you are offering. Do we have the accreditation from for these courses, or which university or which government they have been recognized? That is my first question. I will go for the 3 questions. This is my first question, sir.
Well, why don't we take the first, and Mr. Ramani, you can respond. Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is very simple. We are incorporated as a state private university by Tamil Nadu Act 42 of 2018. You can go into the web and browse and get a copy of the Gazette notification. And the certificate of commencement dated April 2021. If you want it, we can have it sent to you by email. And subsequently, we have been approved by UGC under Section 2F of the UGC Act. We have been approved as a university, as a state private university, to offer courses of any kind that we want. I must tell you the difference between a central university, state university, deemed university, and a private university. As a private university, UGC and the state law allows us to offer courses of any kind. We don't have to offer exactly physics, chemistry combo. We don't have to offer economics, statistics, psychology combo. We can offer economics, physics, music combo. So as a university, we are approved by UGC. As an institution, Sai University is enacted by the state of Tamil Nadu as a private university. And the degree is recognized under Section 2F by the UGC. And as a AICTE, approval is required. Is not for a state private university. AICTE approval is not required according to AICTE, but we have to follow their model curriculum and courses and the core courses, and which we will be following. So as far as we are concerned, we are completely in line with all the related requirements for incorporation, conducting of the courses, and for issuing the degree.
Great, sir. My second question is again for the program only. My son is more interested in the data science, but he want to go for the combination of artificial intelligence with the data science. So what are the probabilities and what will be the syllabus and all the things? What could be the structure of this program?
I'll answer that. Yes, the everybody today in computer science is interested in artificial intelligence, um, and we will certainly be on the cutting edge of artificial intelligence. So I can assure you that machine learning, for example, if you go to a engineering college, a typical engineering college, I can assure you that you will not learn about machine learning in the first year, because the method is a very traditional method. You start learning simple programs, and then you build up, and maybe in your third year or your fourth year of a BTech will you get machine learning. Our students are going to hear about machine learning in the very first semester because of the unique modular structure of our first semester. If you go online, you will see a course called Frontiers in Computing and Data Science. This is a new way of teaching that we bring. It's called the colloquium model, where students can jump right into the big issues even before they have gone through 2, 3, 4 years. That doesn't mean that the students are going to get all of the mathematics of machine learning and data science in the first semester. Traditionally, you start out by building up the mathematics until you get to the big issues like machine learning and data science. What we are doing, which is the latest thinking, is coming at it from both sides. As you build up the technical side, you also are able to grasp the conceptual end of it to keep you interested, to keep you inspired, where you will see examples of machine learning and data science used practically, and using established software to do that. So we will bring those two things together. Please, the next question.
Yeah, sir. Since I do understand, sir, this is going to be the first batch. So I want to understand what are the programs for the research work. Are you planning for something for the research work? Well, you will be implementing after they complete 4 years, or it will be incorporated while they are doing it.
No, while they are doing it. While they are doing it, I can assure you. So I'm glad you asked that question, because in fact, for undergraduate students who are intellectually motivated, uh, doing research is the most powerful way to learn. I myself don't remember very much from the courses I took, undergraduate, postgraduate, it doesn't matter. What I do remember is what I learned from research and from teaching itself. So research under the supervision of a faculty member. So if a student, I mentioned Professor Kriti, any student interested in getting involved with the Smart Campus project, uh, Professor Kriti will work with that student, will form students into project groups to do various aspects of the Smart Campus project. Starting in the second semester, assuming that by then the students have been vaccinated, students can actually go visit the first campus, while the main campus, while it's under construction, to work on these Smart Campus projects by embedding sensors in the campus, recording the data, and so on. All of that is research. Students can do research even with me. My field is cognitive neuroscience. Obviously, as an undergraduate, in the beginning, the research project would be of modest scope, but still, supervised research is something we will be uh, very much on the cutting edge for. Yes. Did you have a final question, Miss?
Yeah. Now my question. In fact, I develop one more question in between. Uh, uh, Sir, how you are planning this curriculum? Curriculum in the sense means if students means how many electives will be there, how many basic subject lines will be there. So how they are going to choose and how it is going to develop. This is the new question which had just crop up in my
Yeah.
mind. Yeah.
So all of that will be done. Students will be making those choices under the guidance of faculty advisors. Okay, and every student will be advised by a faculty member, and of course, as they make their choices. In the first semester, the only choices you have are modules within the Frontiers courses. So there's a Frontiers in Arts and Sciences, which will have 20 or so modules. Each module will be a guest or a faculty member coming in and trying and inspiring the student about one of the big issues in that field, whether it's in music or literature or biology or astronomy or physics or economics. Um, the Frontiers in Computing and Data Science will have 10 modules where Professor Kriti, Saraswati doing robotics, others, John Mitchell from Stanford will take the students through some of the big issues in those fields. And all computing and data science students have to take uh, 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 all of the modules in computing and data science. Plus, they have to choose 5 modules from arts and sciences, frontiers. The students in arts and sciences can pick 20 modules in any combination they want from the arts and sciences frontiers or from the computing and data sciences frontiers. So those are the choices they'll be advised on. Second, in the first semester, of course, all computing and data science students have to take the uh, Computing and Data Science 101 course, and which will get them started on Python and elements of programming. Um, and then in the second semester, they'll take Computing and Data Science 2, which will continue that uh, uh, year-long process. In terms of choices, most of the big choices will come up in the second year when students can start to choose other subjects that they want. The student does not have to decide on a major until just before classes begin in the second year. So the first year exposes them to everything, gets them prepared. Second year, they can start choosing, do I want to go more in this direction or more in that direction? And of course, as a new university, not everything is laid out. But our model in computing and data science, computing is more the Harvard model rather than the MIT model. If you go to the Harvard website, you go to the MIT website, you will see they're quite different. The MIT website is a more traditional engineering approach. Harvard website, you do computer science, and you can apply it to different topics as you wish, as part of an integrated liberal ecosystem. Let me thank you, Ms.
Jamshed, I think
Yeah.
One last, sir, one last query. And just how you are planning to, since the campus is not ready, and how you are going to equip or how you are going to plan, conduct the classes, and is any preloaded gadgets will be provided by the campus, or how you are going to plan the first year of the batch,
Well, all
engineering
students will
batch?
be expected to have laptops.
Okay.
Uh, now, first semester is virtual. Second semester, if they come campus, there'll be a computer lab in our city facility, and they can use those desktop computers in the computer lab. There'll also be a robotics lab already set up in the second semester. We've allocated already a room for that, where the students can work on their robotics projects, and all of the tools there will be available. All of the electronic tools, all of the other kinds of tools that they need to work on their robotics, the testers, the accelerators, the and so on and so forth will all be there, and there'll be a staff person there to guide them in the use of all of those tools. And when we move to the main campus, we'll also have a maker space, which is a space where students can go to make things, whether their student is interested in is artistically inclined or is interested in design, interested in thinking about products maybe for a startup, or a student who is interested in software and other kinds of interfaces with hardware. The maker space will have 3D printer. It'll have the ability to carpentry equipment, lathe, things like that, where students can design things and make things.
Sir,
So we will have,
understandable that from the second year onwards, they will be means facilitated by each and everything. So, what platform you are choosing for conducting the classes for the first year? That is the basic.
for the first
Yeah.
semester, which is online, we will do
Okay.
it on Zoom.
On
Okay,
Zoom. Okay.
and we're looking at another interactive online platform, but we have not.
What
Uh,
about books and courses and all the things?
all initially, uh, all of the readings will be provided electronically to the students. Okay,
Okay.
and then if a book is required, then students will be told what the book is, textbook, and they would have to purchase that. They can purchase it on Kindle, or they can purchase the physical book.
Understandable, sir. Thank you
Yeah.
for your
In fact,
time.
in the interest of time, there are quite a few questions on the chat box. Do you want to quickly run through them? About
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
15, 20
Um,
questions on the chat box, and I may have to take up some other. And
okay.
we'll come back to you. Navia, if you can hold on, we'll come back to you.
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay. Let me try to club some questions together. We have from Rajesh Kannan, what are the science schools are planned? Um, uh, there are a few other questions about science. So the School of Arts and Sciences will have all the main sciences that students want, with the exception of chemistry for the moment. But physics, biology uh, will be there. Plus, we're introducing new science subjects like cognitive science, neuroscience, which I don't think there's any other university in India that provides those. Um, and then you could major in it, or just take it as a subject. In addition, we're introducing astronomy, which is, I don't think there's any other Indian university that provides that. You'll get a taste of astronomy in the first semester itself in a frontier module, where you'll be dazzled by an astronomer, astrophysicist talking about about space, about the big issues today, black holes, um, uh, dark energy, dark matter, and so on and so forth. So all of the sciences, as demand develops, will be provided
Except
in the School
chemistry.
of Arts and Sciences. Yeah,
Except chemistry.
except chemistry. We may add that later, but there's very little demand for chemistry these days, um, to the extent that chemistry might be a course might be needed for some other major. Certainly, chemistry is needed if you want to do microbiology, molecular biology, or genetics. We will provide access to chemistry, organic chemistry courses. So
So, Jamshed, with your permission, can I take then two other courses quickly and complete
please
it?
go ahead. Yeah.
Jai Vadula, that I've already offered. Sai University is established by an act of Tamil Nadu government, Private University Act number 42 of 2018. It's available in the Gazette to anybody to see. We are approved by UGC under Section 2F of UGC Act. You can go to UGC website and you can see Private University Tamil Nadu. You will see Sai University listed there. That gives approval. You do not need AICT approval for any courses offered by us, but AICT modules have to be followed, which you will be doing. And I go on to Vijay Narayan. He's saying, sir, first class will be online facility. As Professor Barucha said, yes, the first semester will be online and students are expected to have their own laptops. The rest of the facility, including the learning management system, LMS, the tutorials, the classes, everything will be provided on a software on the laptop. The second question is the campus setting, which is part of Chennai. Which part of Chennai? So I have to answer it two ways. The second semester of the first year would be conducted in OMR Navalu, where I'm sitting right now. It is in Navalu, which is about 15 kilometers from Adyar or Tidal Park or IIT Madras as a landmark, 15, 16 kilometers. So we have an office place here, which has 5 classrooms and can hold about 240 students. So that is the classroom which is going to be used for second semester, but everything will depend on the pandemic and the government regulations. If some students are required to come for the second semester, they can be day scholars, as Professor Baruch has already committed in the past. If they want to be in residence, then we'll arrange for residence for the second semester. For the second year, the students will go to the main campus, which is in Payyanur, OMR, which is about 30 kilometers from Adyar IIT Madras Tidal Park location, which is on the same road, further 18 kilometers or 15 to 18 kilometers down the road. So I will skip the question on science stream, and of course that professor will answer that. There are questions about BS in agriculture, urban agriculture. We are not going to offer agriculture courses today. We are not planning that in the near future. Those Jamshid would handle. Then the other question that when does the college start? I think the college starts on September 23rd. Is that right, Jamshid?
Yeah, that will be the beginning of classes, but starting on September, even starting now, we're going to have a series of engagement events for students leading up, ramping up to the start of classes, where there will even be some orientation events, online events, even before September 23rd. But September 23rd will be when the classes actually begin.
And if we pay the registration fee today, when is the last day to pay the remaining amount for the first semester? I presume that will be the September 23rd, when the actual classes start.
Yeah.
Where can we see the curriculum, major, minor subjects of each semester for computer and data science? I think it's already in our website. Detailed program of curriculum is on our website. And let me just see if there's any other question on regulatory, and then otherwise I'll hand over to Professor Barucha. There's a question about BBA. We are not offering a BBA. I do not know where.
No. The person said there was a mistake. They asking about BA. Yes, if you major in the arts or humanities or social sciences, you will get a BA. If you major in the science, you'll get a BSc. If your major is in computing data science, you will get a BTech.
So I'll now hand you over to the other questions, which are primarily academic, and I think Jamshid, if you can take them quickly, please, before.
Sure. So there's quite a bit of interest in biology and life science. I'm delighted to hear that. And in the first semester itself, as part of the frontier modules in arts and sciences, you'll be introduced to neuroscience. You'll be introduced to cognitive neuroscience. You'll be introduced to genetics. The point is to get you into some of the big issues in the very first semester itself, and then continuing into the second semester, and then starting in the second year, you dive deeper into greater detail. So yes, life sciences, by the way, life sciences includes environmental sciences, which we will also be offering. You could be interested in environmental science from the biological point of view, or you could be interested in it from other points of view. And we will be doing a lot of that because we are going to be a sustainable campus, living laboratory campus. There'll be lots of options for life sciences research on the campus itself. We have a canal, and so also there'll be some life science research that can be done on the water systems. Chennai itself has maritime research going on the oceans and life in the oceans that we can certainly get students involved in if they have an interest.
Vijay, sorry to interrupt you. Very quick for those who are interested in the campus location. I think I need to just give you one input. For those who want to know where the city campus is, just go to Google Map and search Sai University City Campus. You know the exact location. For
Yeah.
those who want to know the Sai University main campus, the same query on Google Maps, and Sai University main campus will tell you the exact location. Sai University City Campus at Navalur, and main campus is Pioneer, all in Google Maps. Thank you. Over to you, Jamshed.
Okay, back to biology. Challamaya Reddy and others, Ananya Venkataraman and others interested in biology. The biology labs will be ready with the main campus. We will have a state-of-the-art biology teaching lab where the labs for general biology, molecular biology, cellular biology, uh, uh, microbiology, all of those labs will be taught in the wet lab facility that will be prepared by the architect. We will also have research labs, biological and life sciences research labs, so that the faculty who come in can conduct their research, and students who get involved with faculty in their biological research can work with them also in those research labs. Most of the biology faculty will come on board starting next year, because this year is not going to be lab oriented. It's going to be conceptually oriented, and then starting with the second year, we would have biologies available. One question about specifically the number of students doing biology. Well, our first batch class is not complete yet. I mean, people are continuing to apply. As I said, our preferred batch size is 30 because we want it to be intimate, on a screen the first semester, and then smooth transition, because we see the first students, first batch, as being ambassadors, as Mr. Ramani mentioned. And so how many are going to major in biology? We won't know until people choose their major starting in the second year. It could be 5, it could be 20. So quickly going through the question.
There's one question, Jamshed, about the residential facilities for the second semester. Second semester, Professor Barucha has clearly said that those who want to do it online can do online. Those who want to be day scholars in Chennai, they can be day scholars. And depending on the pandemic, those who want to come in residence, we will arrange a residence facility with a partner who will be under the control and management of Sai University.
Absolutely. There's a question by Dakshaja and Kashyap about neuroscience and cognitive science. Yes, absolutely. I myself am in cognitive neuroscience. We have, as I showed you on our visiting faculty, the person who discovered left brain, right brain, who is the kind of person, if you email him, he'll reply in 5 minutes, even if you're an undergraduate, and can put you in touch with. I just want to say here, in traditional universities, when you say a major, it usually consists of a sequence of courses. In more contemporary thinking, and at Sai and at other places, you can create your own major, you can design your own major. So for some of them, not all of the courses will be scheduled courses with lots of students. Some of them could be individual study with an individual professor. It might be with me. It might be with Professor Gizaniga. It might be with another faculty who we hire. It could be individual research, it could be individual study, but you will get, if you're interested in cognitive science or neuroscience, you can get a major. You could be the first major in one of those subjects in India, I can guarantee you, outside of some of the specialty institutions and medical schools and so on. The PG courses, Rishita Mathur, help for PG courses, yeah. I can pledge to you that preparation for PG programs, the best top programs around the world, I don't think there's another university in India who could provide you with that kind of preparation. I bring my own experience. We have the experience of people, as I said, on the international board. You will get the kind of personalized advice and preparation for the best postgraduate programs in the world, as long as, of course, you have to do well in your courses at Sai. I can say that that would be one of our strongest points. We fully expect that if a student wants to go on into a postgraduate program or a PhD program, master's or PhD, we would be the place to set that up. In computer science, again, if you join us, I mean, you'll have direct access to Professor John Mitchell at Stanford. And after, at some point, I would plan to take students on trips. For example, a trip to Boston area universities, another trip to California area universities like Stanford, where we would meet with trips. Of course, the travel would have to be covered by the families, although we may have some scholarships, where we would meet in person with the faculty at those programs. So as you think about postgraduate, you at Sai will have the opportunity to get a visceral, hands-on experience with some of the universities you might be interested in applying to, or to talk to some of those faculty. On the international experience, let me just say, while semester abroad is the sort of the bread and butter of international experience, and we will have semester abroad, not many Indian families can afford a full semester abroad because that tuition is very, very high. We will, of course, provide those options, but we will also provide shorter trips that are more affordable. I've done this before. 2-week trips can be very, very powerful for students. And thirdly, through Professor Sherman Teichman, who has joined us, he is the world's leader in getting undergraduate students involved in international projects. So whether you're interested in, if you're interested in human rights, women's rights, environmental issues, political issues around the world, he can get students involved in international projects. And as part of that project, a student might engage in some travel. Let me go to Saunik Saha. Do we need to learn C++ or Python before the start of classes? No. What we found is of our incoming students, some have no programming experience, some have quite a lot. Mostly the ones who have quite a lot have done it themselves. My own view is you should jump in to Python on your own. You can go online, there are videos and so on, because but it won't be assumed that you know any in advance. I'm just advising you that you can utilize some of your time between now and then to start learning some Python. Let's see, any other academic?
There's an earlier question about, can you combine arts and data science?
Absolutely, brilliant question. Let's see, who's that
from student Venkatesh.
Venkatesh, yes, you're a man after my own heart. There is tremendous prospect for combining arts and data science. If you're talking about which kind of arts are you talking about, Venkatesh?
Yes, it's asked about specifically
Thinking about
interesting psychology
psychology.
and data analysis.
Hi,
Psychology,
thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's too bad that we only have so much time to talk because there are so many great questions. My own PhD is in psychology from Harvard. We will be very strong in psychology. Um, we will have modules in the first semester itself on the highlights of psychology, including social psychology, clinical psychology, and developmental psychology, how a child develops. Child development will be another area. Combining uh, data science with psychology, there are definitely uh, opportunities for that. Data science can be applied to anything now because there's data
Yeah.
everywhere. And if you're interested in the visual arts, of course, we are communicating visually right now. It's all digital, so there's an explosion in visual, digital art creativity. And if you come with a combining a passion for art with background in data science, you can really carve out an original career for yourself. Music, of course, is all digital now, so you can combine music uh,
Yeah.
computer science and data science. The same is true of three-dimensional. If you think about sculpture, now with 3D printers, you can design a sculpture and you can print it out and you can express your artistic interest that way. Okay, any
Thank
other
you.
academic
There's
questions?
another question as a biomath stream during 11th and 12th, but SaiU opted a BTech computation and data science will be tougher for me compared to other students. From Ali Nayagam, can you see that question? 5:27 p.m.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just go to that question. Uh, yeah, my times are given in a US East Coast time right now. So uh, you're saying that
Hi,
the
sir.
yeah, please ask the question yourself.
Sir, Bharan, I'm here, sir.
Yes.
I took a biomax stream in my 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
I'm just zero in this computer. I doesn't know anything like programming languages or like that. My doubt is when I've just chosen for computation and data science in a BTech in Sai University, will it be tougher for me to compete with other students, or the staff should be starting this courses from the basics?
It starts from the basics, but as anybody would tell you, as you go from year to year, if you are in the School of Computing and Data Science, maths is going to be necessary,
Yes, sir.
and so um, I would advise if there are students uh, who are not comfortable with maths to get a BSc rather than a BTech, but uh, the maths again, it depends upon uh, the topic that you wanted to study. So if you want to do machine learning, you have to you have to know what's called linear algebra, manipulating matrices and vectors. And if you want to do data science, you also need to know linear algebra. Probability and statistics. So for computer science and data science and artificial intelligence and machine learning, uh, it's more linear algebra and probability statistics rather than calculus. Uh, you would have to take a calculus only because that's again kind of like a bread and butter subject, but uh, the school math curriculum is out of date, really, with what is required today. Probability and statistics is much more important than calculus for almost anything that you will do, as well as linear algebra. So the question is, are you comfortable learning these things? You don't have to come in knowing them, but are you comfortable learning them? And if so, you'll be fine. If you're not comfortable with the idea of learning more maths, then we can think of a different way to serve your need.
Okay, I think the
Yes.
next question is about the first year calendar vacations daily schedule
Yeah.
from Vijay Bhaskar.
Yes. So the uh, the we will have a series of ramp up events. They've already started. Through until the first class begins on the 23rd. That'll include orientation and all of that. Um, the Once classes start on the 23rd, you really need to keep your days open. Okay, that they're uh, certainly starting at 9 a.m. and into the evening. You need to be flexible with your times. We are Most of the classes will be in the mornings or the afternoons, and there'll be 2 hour slots. Uh, there will be at twice a week. There will be evening or night classes, uh, so that people can connect from California, from Boston, and so on. Uh, so if you have uh, other activities in the evenings and the nights, then you may want to schedule them around the class schedule that's given to you. We those details, will come a little bit later. But please clear your calendars. You need to devote your days to Sai, Monday through Friday, and to at least you'll be asked for at least 2 evenings or nights uh, as well. On the days when we have evening classes, we will reduce the uh, class time in the 9 to 5 period. Okay, so that totally it'll be balanced uh, in terms of the total amount of class time available.
The next question is the first batch. Would there be impact on the PG education in India or abroad? I don't think we are any different from any other university. It will depend on the grades you get. Because as you're recognized by UGC, the degree issued by Sai University is as good as the degree issued by any other university because you're accredited to
Yeah.
UGC, and we'll be subject to UGC inspection audit as like any other university in India.
And we'll be helping you with your career development and planning right from the beginning. Some universities wait until the last year to do career development. We start right from the beginning, so that by the time you apply for postgraduate or apply for jobs or you know, if you'd like to do a startup, you will have received that advice interactively from the very beginning.
I think a question about Rishad Mathur about PG courses in computer science abroad. I think you already answered that.
I answered that, yeah.
And then C++ Python, you've answered that.
Yeah.
Someone has asked a question, Dr. Sir, I haven't studied biology in class 11 and 12. Will I be able to take up neuroscience or cognitive science as a major?
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
So they are allowed to take the course as a major.
Absolutely. There is no prior knowledge assumed in a liberal model. What the one thing we assume is you are motivated to learn. Motivated to learn. This is the place. There's nothing we can do if a student is not motivated to learn. We
And
will.
about the next?
Yeah.
Sorry, sir. Good. So the next question is about residential, which I've already said, the second semester. You can do online or you can do day scholar, or we'll arrange a accommodation with the partner of Sai University, and you would be under the safe custody and care of Sai University's warden and deputy warden. The final admission result, I think the admission office already replied on the text message. Important dates.
Let me say about the dates a little bit, because we said when we start, we didn't say when we end. I've pulled up my calendar here. We will go straight from September 23rd up until December 17th. Okay, and then there'll be holiday after December 17th. And then we will, the January schedule we'll get to you sometime later. But obviously the national Indian holidays will be maintained as holidays.
There'll be no classes in the weekends.
No classes on the weekend, generally speaking, but
Might
even
have
though we are
assignment.
online the first semester, we are going to conduct ourselves like a residential university. There might be times when some opportunities arise on weekends that we will let you
You'll have
know,
assignments.
and you can jump in. Of course, we expect you to work hard even outside of class time, and to be prepared for class.
And there's the last question here. Is it helpful if you share some pictures of the current status of the campus? I'll ask the admission office to host it on the website so you can have a look at it. We'll have pictures of the city campus, which is there, where you'll be the first year. And the main campus, proposed campus website also has some pictures of videos on the website. So I think that answers the text chat box. I think now you can go to Navya, who had a question earlier, and any other questions we missed out, please raise your hands and then proceed.
Yes, sir. Um, so my question is around the student body, and if time permits, I would also want to, ask you a light-hearted question, which is totally unrelated to academics. So regarding student body, I would like to know the gender diversity in it, and also I know it's not quite a big number regarding students, but I'm just curious to know about the governance structure, if there is any in the student body.
Great questions. Yeah, in the first year, as I said, the batch will be small because it's a founding batch. That size will jump up quite a bit starting the second year. Okay, it will be uh, maybe 4 times as large second year, and each year it will grow. Regarding student governance, absolutely, we will uh, uh, work with the students to organize a student council or a student government. I should introduce Neha Goenka, who's on this call. She serves as our not only as our director of communications, but also our director of student life, and we'll be working with students to organize events, whatever it is, Lit Fest, Tech Fest, hackathon, outings, concerts, uh, anything. We want it to be student driven. We want the students to drive it, and she can help with the organization and logistics and pulling it all together. She will help you when we want ideas for clubs to come from the students, and then she can help with the organization. And we will the as far as the student governance is concerned, she'll help students set up a structure, student government, where students can elect their own president, vice president, and secretary. And looks like you are already uh, 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 you are already going to be a candidate, Navya, and we want this to be heavily student driven. Okay, this is not going to be the type of place where when a student walks into my office uh, with an idea, I say, just be quiet and go and do what you're told. I want students to walk in with ideas. I know that Mr. Ramani wants students to walk in with ideas. Our deans will. I know that Neha ma'am will want that because we want you to learn to be leaders. That's one of our mottos. Learn to lead. One of the things that Indian industry is saying is these kids come out, they have graduated, they've got all of their marks, but they don't open their mouths and they don't have ideas. They've been taught to be quiet and to just listen. We want you not to be quiet. We want you to ideate, to create, and to lead. We want you to push back on us. We want you to challenge us, but with good ideas, good arguments, good reasons. And we want the student, whether it's the student governance system elected by students, to truly represent students in their preferences. We will ask the students for their preferences for food. We will ask students for their preferences for what we could do better in terms of your residential life. We will ask students for preferences about things like campus security and the things like the times when you're supposed to be back on campus in the evenings. We're not just going to dictate those things. We want that to come from the university. So Navya, I look forward to having you on campus to be a campus leader.
Yes, sir.
Actually, can I just add to one more thing to that question?
Yes.
So, very simple. One of the advantages of being the founding batch is that you get to decide what you want, and you get to decide what the future team students want. You will be writing the way the student body is governed, the student body is formed, the student elections are held, and all of that has happened, but by the first 1 or 2 batches have to make it happen. It's not going to be decided by us. You guys have to come and say that this is the body, we will have this election system, we will have this governance system we have, and that should be self-regulating student body. So it'll be a healthy student body interacting with the management, with the faculty, and so on and so forth. So that is the great advantage of being a founding batch. The first 2 batches will get to contribute to creating the student body intellectual property for the university. Thank you.
And sir, another question. So why the name Sai? Like, what's the genesis of it?
Oh, that's very simple. I should take that question, Jamshed.
Of course.
Okay, Sai stands for my spiritual master and Sadguru Shirdi Sai Baba. So he inspired me, of course, as the Sai Baba is not in body form. It's about 100 years since he attained Samadhi. Do you know a place called Shirdi?
Yes, sir. I've been there.
You've been there? So it is a university actually inspired to start on the centenary of the Samadhi of Sai Baba, and therefore named after Sai. You must be happy it's not named after Ramana University or like any other university named after the founders and their families. It's not named after me as a founder, and not after none of my family members are on the governing board. So you should be happy as a student that it's not a family business. It is a business that is a truly world-class university set up by and governed by world-class professionals as a governing body, world-class faculty and administrators, so that the students have world-class experience. I think that's a summary of it.
That's really good to know, sir. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? I'm sure you might want to.
Yeah. Any other questions? Neha, do you want to say something about your vision for vibrant student life?
Just not too much. You covered it up very well, and so did Mr. Ramani. He summed it up, and I truly believe that students are the ones who give us the vision and the drive to push us further to move on. And I expect all of you, whosoever joins the Sai first batch, to be extremely dynamic, making us challenge ourselves, making us push our own boundaries, questioning everything it is. And as long as you can rationalize it, it could be the more prevalent way, it could be the unknown way, whichever way. Back yourself up, come with rational. This is a place where they welcome the unknown, the uncharted. So I think that's the only thing that I want to talk about right now.
Thank you. That's wonderful, Neha. Anybody on the staff, our staff, like to make another comment? Or any other students or parents would like to ask another question? Okay. If not, thank you very much. Look, we are, please continue to send us your questions. There's no, all questions are good questions, and we will certainly do our best to satisfy your need to better understand Sai University.
Jamshed, in closing, I'd like to just say one sentence.
Please.
This university is all about being for the students.
Yeah.
Therefore, you shouldn't be sitting and asking questions. You should be coming and doing things here. You should be coming and asking for this course and that course, this faculty and the other faculty, this equipment, the other equipment. We welcome it. Be there. It's a participative institution. It is not a place where people are going to sit in closed offices and write rules so that all of you have to follow in a queue and salute or whatever. That's not the way this is styled. This is your university. Come and own the place. Take your rights and privileges seriously. Demand what you want from the faculty, from the management, the administration, and let's make it happen. I'm sure as a startup, we will make a few mistakes. We will correct them as we go along. But what is important is that we need to have a healthy interaction between faculty, the student, and the rest of the staff and the team, all of us to make it happen. And as I said at the beginning, let's create the vision. We have created the vision. We created the infrastructure, the faculty, with the team, the curriculum, everything there is to it. So let us just build the India's first global university. And let us join all of us here and be in the founding few batches of the Sai University and be the champion of Sai University around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for all of your thoughts and for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.